Finance and Law of our institute and is supported by Prince T, the Finance Committee of KJ Somaya Institute of Management. It is currently in its 12th edition with this year's theme being Emerging Trends in Finance. Sifico 2023 is supported by NISM, National Institute of Security Markets, as academic partner and Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance as knowledge partner. And we thank both the organizations for their support.
Finance students and professionals spent much of the past few years grappling with the challenges brought on by COVID-19 pandemic. Education institutions went online, stock exchanges went to remote trading, personal trading saw record transactions, mobile banking dealings increased, and most of the professionals worked from home. While most industries weathered these dramatic changes and continued operating, the winds of change continue to blow. As a result, financial institutions are thinking more strategically about technology and questioning whether their current tools are the right ones to use going forward. This has given rise to various innovations within the finance industry all across the world. Some of the trends like system modernization, the rise of fintech companies, blockchain and cryptocurrency, reporting and data analytics, digital transformation have been gathering a lot of attention.
We are delighted to have amongst us three dignitaries from the industry, Dr. S.V.D. Nageshwar Rao, Mr. Ananta Barua, Mr. Sumit Rai, our Director Dr. Raman Ramachandran, and Conference Convener Dr. Pankaj Trivedi. A warm welcome to one and all. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. The director of our institute, Dr. Raman Ramachandran sir, is one such leader who empowers us and guides us towards excellence. I now request Raman sir to deliver the welcome speech.
Thank you, and a very good morning to the dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Nageshwar Rao, Mr. Ananta Barua, and Mr. Sumit Rai. Thank you for taking the time and being here with us. I'm sure our faculty and the students here will benefit from hearing from you and hearing from your experiences. I also want to thank all my fellow colleagues at the Institute for being here and also students this morning. For those in the dais who are not associated with the Institute, if I may take a few minutes to give you a little bit of a history of the Institute. KJ Somaya Institute is 40 years old. It is one of the earliest business schools in the city of Mumbai. And today it is a constituent institute of Somaya Vidya Vihar, which is one of the first, actually the first private university in Maharashtra, and has been in existence for the last about 3 years as a university. Under the umbrella of this university, besides the Management Institute, there is also Engineering College, there is a regular Arts and Commerce College. There is an Institute of Dharma Studies, which does deep research into Jainism, Hinduism, and spiritual aspects of the society. In addition to this, our sister institutions are there, which is a medical college, which is in the Sion campus. There is an Ayurveda college. There is also a college of physiotherapy, and an institute of technology, which primarily focuses on computer science and allied technologies. So we are a fairly large constellation of educational institutions, and we exist today thanks to our founder KJ Somaya, who was an entrepreneur who made considerable amount of wealth in the sugar business, and that business continues as a part of a private enterprise. And the wealth that he created, he transferred into a trust to focus on contribution back to the society. And today we are actually benefiting from that, because the campus that you see here was bought with that wealth primarily for the purpose of imparting education. So very privileged to be here. And again, as an institute, in this 40 years today, we have MBA students who do management, close to about 2,000 students at this time in the institute. There are batches of about 600 who do MBA, who come to do MBA. We also have specialized specific programs such as healthcare management program and sports management program, which are focusing on these emerging trends. So that's a very quick background to the institute. Needless to say, finance is a very important subject and has a specialization which our graduate or MBA students do in the second year, one of the most sought after specialization as well. And of course, if you are in Mumbai, I mean, what else would you study other than finance? Because this is the commercial capital of India. So we have about 45% of our students who are opting for finance. So clearly the topic today of emerging trends in finance is extremely relevant to the students and to the faculty. Now, I have no authority to be talking on finance because I don't have a background other than having run companies for 15 years and relied on very trustworthy CFOs to tell me what to do and do that. But the little that I know and little that I've experienced in the last 2 decades, there are tremendous trends that you see in the financial sectors, largely driven by technology. And the students alluded to that, both of you, the role of technology. And I think that is something that is very evident, and I'm sure in the conference many of you are going to speak about it. I'll probably hear from the dais as well. But as I reflect about on that, what is emerging is, besides digital payments and going on to digital currency, the proliferation of apps which allows you to do and the associated risks with it, there are also various other aspects, social aspects that come under some kind of question, because today increasingly your financial wealth and your identity is getting kind of integrated. I understand today that there is an app in China which is called Smile to Pay, which is a facial recognition app. Which you go and stand in front, you smile, and then whatever you have to pay get transferred, into the customer. So that's the kind of trend that we are seeing. I believe there is an app in UK which essentially calculates based on your spending proficiency, what is your credit worthiness, or how much money are you likely to be left at the end of the month. So it's not going to be a distant future before you stand in front of a shop, look into the camera, and the person knows whether you're a poor professor from KJ Somaya Institute or whether you work for a bank, and how he or she should treat you as a customer, as a valued customer or as a customer who is very transactional and passive. So that's the kind of trends that personally, as I look at the horizon, I see. But that's a layman's view, and we have experts here who will, I'm sure, bring much greater kind of enlightenment into these emerging areas in finance, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from them. Of course, from the conference itself, as the head of this institution, I would expect recommendations about how do we integrate some of these emerging trends in our curriculum so students who go out from here are up to date and then stay relevant. And the second, of course, as faculty, is how can we latch on to these emerging trends and do research and write policy papers in order to really guide the society and the government in the right direction. With that, I again welcome all of you, and thank you very much again to the dignitaries on the dais for taking your time. I know all of you are very, very busy schedules, and it's not easy for you to be here and spend a couple of years, but I want to assure you we value this very much, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Raman sir, for your encouraging words.
Sifico has consistently emerged as a medium for sharing knowledge about many aspects of the financial world. So let's take a look at our journey over the last few decades. Few years, I'm sorry.
Reading the device.
मुझे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम कर रही है
let me take you to the journey of one of the prominent committees in everyone. Let me take you to the journey of one of the prominent committees in KJ Sumaya Institute of Management, Prince Street, the Finance Committee. The seed idea was to bridge the gap between industry and academic curriculum through effective delivery of knowledge-oriented sessions and events by a network of highly motivated members and renowned industry experts. The committee's history goes all the way back to the inception of the college, and currently it's flourishing under the guidance and leadership of Dr. Pankaj Trivedi. The committee has been expanding in scope, influence and activities year after year with new initiatives such as magazines, journals and publications. Some of them are Finley, a monthly magazine covering sector analysis, company analysis and person in focus. It has one of the highest readerships among all the monthly magazines across B schools in India. It is currently running its 180th edition as of January 2023. The Fin Street Journal, a weekly newsletter helping readers stay connected with recent financial information and analysis on various parameters like macroeconomic indicator, corporate earnings and market overviews. It is currently running its 145th edition as of January 2023. The Fin Street Stock Overview, a bi-weekly publication which is a comprehensive and succinct analysis of a company's stock listed on the stock exchange, providing the reader with a tool that can support in making investment decisions with subsections like business description, investment summary and shareholding pattern. Currently running its 10th edition as of January 2023. We also cater to the finance enthusiasts by organizing events like Finzomania, an intra-college business quiz that tests participants' financial and business knowledge. Lock Stock Trade, an inter-college virtual trading competition with real-time stock codes. Abhigrahan, the inter-college merger and acquisition warfare which tests participants' valuation and negotiation skills. Equity Research Competition, inter-college event where participants come up with their analysis of a listed company. Investrix, a corporate panel discussion where experts from the global finance industry come together on one platform. Sifico, the International Finance Conference, wherein we not only host esteemed guests but also have papers presented by various professors from all over the world. We at Fin Street take the privilege and honor to host the 12th International Finance Conference, Sifico 2023, on behalf of the Center of Excellence in Capital Markets, in association with the Department of Finance and Law, KJ Sumaya Institute of Management. As the world is finally coming out of the grips of COVID-19, the financial sphere has seen various innovations that have changed the way we function. Financial institutions are thinking more strategically about technology and questioning whether their current tools are the right ones to use going forward. This year at Sifico 2023, we aim to learn about the various possibilities and challenges of these trends through this year's theme of Emerging Trends in Finance. We will be educated about these various trends through research papers presented by academic researchers and professors in various fields of knowledge, as well as through the words of wisdom by our three esteemed guests from the industry. Dr. S.V.D. Nageshwar Rao, Mr. Ananta Barua, and Mr. Sumit Rai. So let's hear from the experts themselves.
Now I invite Dr. Pankaj Trivedi sir, Dean Faculty of Commerce and Business Studies at KJ Sumaya Institute of Management to revisit Sifico's Hall of Fame. Since Sifico's inception in 2011, Pankaj sir has played a crucial role in designing and assuring the brand's international expansion with each passing year. I now request Pankaj sir to speak about Sifico's journey.
Mr. Nageshwar Rao, Mr. Anant Barua, Mr. Sumit Rai, our director, Dr. Raman Ramchandran, Professor Paresh Shah, Dr. Thomas Berger, my faculty colleagues, the researchers and delegates who have come for the conference, and students, friends. Warm welcome to all of you for 12th edition of International Finance Conference, Sifico as we call it, 2023. As the speakers earlier, the students committee have already informed you, we are doing this activity every year. And it was started way back in 2011. When it was started, the intention of starting this series of conferences to give opportunities to the budding researcher to present their work, to get critical feedback on that, and in the process, they will be able to become a good researcher. So this activity we are doing since last 12 years. Every year we are getting greater and greater response, except couple of years of COVID. Otherwise, every year we are getting more and more papers. And this is all possible because of the support of the delegates and the researchers across the country and across the world. This year, we have received total 55 papers, which after review, we have shortlisted 33 for presentation. So today, there will be total 33 presentation during the day. And the subjects, the topics, if you look at the schedule, you will get to know variety of topics, right from capital market to banking to micro market structure to fintech to whatever you may say. When you talk about the theme of the conference, as Director Sir has already said, when you talk about the emerging trend, if you talk about trend in finance, not only finance in any field for that matter, I am sure all of you will agree with me, there are only three important trends. And these three trends are technology, technology, and technology. There is nothing else. In other words, there is only one trend, and that is digitization and technology. Everywhere you will find this. Finance is not an exception. On the contrary, finance is based on technology. Now it has undergone total change. If you talk about financial institutions like banks or any other financial institution, if you talk about financial market, if you talk about financial services, everywhere technology has overtaken this sector. Not only financial services and institutions, even the concept of money is also undergoing change. Now we are talking about digital currency. So to my mind, this is one of the important trends that we are noticing in finance world today. The second important issue is about the analytics. Lot of data is generated every day due to financial transactions that are taking place. Now earlier also these data were generated, but people were not knowing that this is a wealth of information which if properly analyzed and properly used, then you will be able to take better business decision. So this is the age of analytics. That is second important trend that I wanted to say. And the third to my mind is, one of the regulators sitting here, regulating issues. Due to introduction of various financial products, due to expansion of financial market, due to more entry of investors, retail investors into the market, regulation is a big challenge. Regulation in a technological environment like cyber security. So this is yet another emerging issue to my mind. So friends, these are the issues which are covered during the day-to-day, and I'm sure at the end of the day, you will have some good takeaway. I'm sure also many finance faculties and the researchers who are sitting over here, there are very few conferences in India which are spatially focusing on finance. And I am proud to say that Sifico is one of that conference. So once again, welcome the dignitaries, welcome the director, all faculty and students for Sifico 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for guiding us through Sifico's fascinating journey and enlightening us with your words. We now request the dignitaries on the dais to release the copy of conference compendium.
Photographer, you can come this side.
Yes, someday.
Without further ado, let's welcome the Honorable Chief Guest of our event, Dr. S.V.D. Nageshwar Rao. Dr. Rao is a professor in Finance and Economics area at the School of Management, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and a fellow from IIM Ahmedabad. He is currently serving as the chairman of Board of Directors of Metropolitan Stock Exchange of India, Mumbai, is a member of Banking and Finance Committee, Indian Merchants Chamber, Mumbai, is also a member of Finance Committee at IIT Jammu. He is a visiting faculty at various institutions that includes likes of IIM Ahmedabad, Calicut, Indore, and SP Jain has guided more than 40 master's dissertations in the areas of finance and economics. He is the consultant to ICRA Limited, Ashok Leyland Limited, Larsen & Toubro Limited, MERC, Traco Cables Company Limited, and Central Bureau of Investigation, and has conducted more than 40 short and long duration management development programs for executives from different companies and senior government officials. We are delighted to have you here with us. I would now like to invite Dr. Nageshwar Rao for the keynote address.
Dignitaries on the dais, Mr. Marwa, Mr. Sumit Rai, Dr. Raman, Professor Trivedi, faculty of the Institute, delegates, students, good morning. Since the theme of the conference is emerging trends in finance, I have selected green finance, fintech, and the tussle between financial innovation and regulation of financial markets. And I'm aware that we have the regulator also here. So, Dr. Raman, when I joined the faculty of IIT Bombay 26 years ago, the engineering students used to be interested in engineering projects. They would go after engineering faculty and they wanted to do some innovative engineering technology projects. These days, second year students who are in second year first semester BTech come to me and say that they are not interested in engineering, they are interested in finance. and they want to do projects in finance. I don't know whether we should be glad about this development or we should worry about this development. So what I tell them is, look, in second year, first semester, what engineering have you studied? I ask them to become good engineers first so that they can become managers later. So, and that was the time when I joined the institute. Going after money or wealth creation was looked down upon. And we as faculty members were supposed to chase knowledge and not money, but things have changed now. And faculty members in collaboration with students are busy setting up, incubating companies, and we have perhaps the best business incubator in the country in the form of Science Society for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which has incubated successful companies. So things have changed. Out of these three, I think green finance or socially responsible investment is the area in which I am working with a few PhD students. What I forgot to mention is I've graduated 16 PhD students and currently guiding 5 PhD students. I must acknowledge the help of my PhD student in preparing this presentation. Green finance is basically financing of investments that provide environmental benefits. Asia has witnessed notable developments in green finance, and China seems to be the leader in green bond issuance since 2015. India apparently needs approximately 160.5 lakh crores or $2.5 trillion until 2030. For nationally determined contributions under the Paris Climate Agreement. Asia apparently requires $26 trillion to achieve those targets. The government of India is considering several policy initiatives to achieve these targets. So these are the numbers in terms of finance required versus green finance raised. So green finance flows increased by 150% from financial year 2017-18 to financial year 2019-20. However, given the level of need and ambition, private sector finance mobilization must significantly outpace public sector finance in the years to come. So the problem is banks are reluctant to fund green projects because they consider them to be risky. And secondly, they get their funds from deposits which are of short-term in nature. So, having short-term deposit liabilities and funding long-term green projects would lead to maturity mismatch. So it's understandable that banks are reluctant to fund green infrastructure projects given their long-term nature. So sourcing funds to finance green infrastructure and other projects is difficult. So one has to look for other sources of green finance. So domestic sources continue to account for the majority of green finance in the country. So Panchamrit is what is referred to as India's 5 nectar elements of climate action declared by the Prime Minister at COP16 in November 2021, which is, reach 500 gigawatts of non-fossil energy capacity by 2030 and 50% of the energy requirements to come from renewable energy by 2030. Reduction of total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion tons from now to until 2030. Reduction of carbon density of the economy by 45% by 2030 compared to 2005 levels. Carbon density is carbon dioxide emissions per unit of GDP, and seems China is at around 49%, India is at 14%. China is 29%, US is at 14%, we are at 7%. So we are actually, at much lower level when it comes to carbon density, but yet the advanced countries are pressuring us to bring it further down. With it, of course, helping finance energy efficient technologies. So The target is to achieve net zero emissions by 2070. Small countries, apparently like Bhutan, are putting up with greenhouse gases than putting up more of those greenhouse gases than they emit. So what are these green finance products? In retail finance, you have green mortgages, which are loans given to buy energy efficient property. Green home equity loans are given for setting up, let's say, solar panels on rooftops. Green commercial building loans, green car loan for vehicles which bring down greenhouse gas emissions. Green credit card apparently is a card that gives that provides rewards to the users of the card for buying environment-friendly products using public transport, etc. These cardholders apparently can convert those rewards into either cash or donate them to an environment fund. Financial fund refers to the package of fiscal incentives offered to environment-friendly projects. Apparently, Government of India provides 30% of the cost of installation of solar panels as subsidy. Eco fund, carbon fund, etc., are all for funding eco-friendly projects. Carbon fund, natural disaster bond, eco ETFs invest in companies that implement eco-friendly policies and business practices. And then in corporate and investment finance, you have green project finance, green securitization, which is securitization of green financial assets. Green venture capital and private equity, technology leasing, carbon finance, auto insurance, carbon insurance, catastrophe insurance, catastrophic bonds, green insurance, etc. So essentially, there are these different retail green finance products. So what is the global regulatory framework for green finance? We have sustainability disclosure requirements. Companies are asked to periodically report their exposure to the ESG factors. Directed and concession lending, there's a revolving fund of $26 billion US, which is set up for green financing in Bangladesh. To give loans to identify the renewable energy and green projects. Micro and macro prudential regulation. China introduced credit restriction to the companies based on their environmental compliances, essentially discourage lending to those who are polluting more and encourage lending to those which are polluting less. Green financial institutions, the UK Green Investment Bank, apparently a £3 billion pound institution fully owned by the government, was established in 2012. What are the challenges for green finance in India? Essentially, the borrowing costs are high to finance green projects. Problem of false claims of environmental compliance, plurality of green loan definitions, maturity mismatches between long-term green investments and short-term liabilities, which is what I mentioned earlier. Relatively short-term interests of investors. What are the solutions to enhance green finance in India? Awareness about environmental and climate risks in the financial sector, developing capacity in the finance industry for environmental risk analysis and management, enhancing transparency through ESG disclosure requirements, and providing incentives for financing of green projects. So how about public policy related to green finance in India? So these are the different steps over the years. As you could see, I'm not going to read them out, including the setting up of climate change finance unit in the Ministry of Finance, and the report and of course one of the major initiatives is SEBI made it mandatory for top 100 listed entities to publish annual business responsibility reports as a part of their annual reports. SEBI issued guidelines for green bond issuance. Ministry of Corporate Affairs mandated reporting of the progress on CSR. Having to research in green finance, there seems to be a positive relationship between energy efficiency and firm value, so it makes sense for firms to implement energy efficient projects. There's no conflict between the objective of firm value maximization and implementation of green projects. Board characteristics have a positive relationship with environmental disclosure. Green bond firms are valued more by investors compared to brown bond firms, and digital finance seems to be an enabler of green finance. Some of the research that we have done in this area of socially responsible investments is whether the ESG rated stocks provide downside protection in the during crisis times and during downturns, and we found significant evidence of the ESG portfolios providing downside protection during the crisis times or during the downturn. And we also are examining whether these ESG firms face lower cost of equity or lower cost of capital compared to the non-ESG firms, whether the extent of internationalization of firms would improve their ESG ratings, and we are also examined whether combining the knowledge of beaters of stocks with the ESG rating would improve the ESG portfolio performance, and we found that it does. We also are looking at the portfolio of bonds of ESG rated firms versus the portfolio of bonds of non-ESG rated firms, and examining whether we can find similar evidence compared to what we found in the equity market, the ESG versus non-ESG portfolios. So what are the areas for future research in green finance? How to allocate funds optimally in terms of financial and non-financial performance, how to finance the economy and satisfy objectives of all the stakeholders, firms, investors, society. What are the consequences of this fund allocation in terms of risk management for corporations and investors? Which asset pricing models can be used to value these innovative financial instruments? These are some of the things that come to mind. The next, as I said, is FinTech. The director has already mentioned. FinTech involves a series of new business models, new technology applications, and new products and services that significantly impact the financial markets and supply of financial services. The key technologies include internet technology, including Internet and Web of Things, big data, AI, ML, distributed technology. What are the advantages? Improving the efficiency of operations, reducing operating costs, disrupting the existing industry structures, blurring industry boundaries, and facilitating strategic disintermediation, providing new gateways for entrepreneurship, etc. So we had a conference on fintech startups at ID some months ago, and we had the fintech entrepreneurs coming and presenting their fintech business models. And of course, everyone is talking about the great benefits of fintech companies. And I asked them, look, when the banks deployed technology, the transaction processing efficiency was expected to go up, and that was expected to result in lower costs to the customers, but that did not happen. And similarly, deployment of technology by these financial institutions is actually benefiting them, but I'm not sure whether the benefits are passed on to the customers. That's a concern that perhaps the regulators, both the Reserve Bank and the others, should be concerned with. Say, for example, we had a presentation by a private insurance company, which is a prominent private insurance company, I would say, talking to us, and they said that they are actually employing technology to price the insurance products and also for processing the claims. Say, for example, if they sell a motor vehicle insurance policy, and if that vehicle meets with an accident on a highway, So instead of sending their, staff to the place of the incident, they are apparently using drones take photographs of the vehicle from different angles and then feed it to sophisticated, algorithms to assess the damage and then process the claim. So this will basically, help the firm. Similarly, when they get all the information about the potential insurance buyer and then feed it to sophisticated algorithms and then price the insurance product, again, it will help the insurance company. I just asked them, and where does the customer figure in all these scheme of things? And he said, that is where we come to you at conventions, as if we know more than what they do. Okay. So I think deploying technology definitely will improve the efficiency of operations, bring down the costs to these financial institutions. But then I'm not sure if these cost savings are passed on to the customers. I mean, that's my concern. I'll just skip the issues in fintech. I think I'll move on to the other important thing. The tussle between financial innovation and regulation of financial markets. So essentially, regulation. So regulation will be in focus whenever we have a crisis, and then people forget about it. All right. So. Financial innovations are neither inherently good nor inherently bad. That's stating the obvious. Financial innovations would lead to more efficient allocation of resources and higher levels of capital productivity and growth. There's no doubt about it. And financial innovation is also a natural consequence of a competitive system. If you have too many rules and restrictions, institutions and people will try to figure out, will come up with innovative ways of getting around those restrictions. So many innovations have been beneficial, like the director Raman mentioned, resulting in increased choice for consumers. Earlier we had to visit a branch to withdraw money, and later on we had these ATMs, and you have the internet banking, and now you have mobile apps and other payment options available. So there should be an appropriate balance between preserving safety and soundness of the system and allowing financial institutions and markets to perform their intended functions. The reason for the global financial crisis is regulation didn't keep pace with innovation during the crisis. The regulators could not, outsmart or outguess the innovators in financial markets. And that's where I guess we in India seem to have done better. The Reserve Bank has done better than the other regulators in other geographies. So there were articles praising Reserve Bank of India and all by these foreign correspondents who said that there's a lesson or two that the likes of President of Fed could learn from the Governor of Reserve Bank of India. Before the crisis, the Deepak Parekhs of the world said that the Reserve Bank is actually, preventing them from making more profits, by putting in more and more regulations. But the same people actually praise the Reserve Bank, saying that it has actually done well, compared to the other regulators in other geographical jurisdictions. What should be the approach to regulation broadly, of course? The regulatory authority should not be predisposed against innovations. They can't have the attitude that financial innovation should be discouraged or financial innovation per se is bad. Overly detailed regulations may not be effective and may be counterproductive. So if you have too many regulations, too detailed regulations, then firms or institutions will try to find their own ways of getting around those. So the objective should be to make the system more resilient in the wake of failures by preventing problems at individual institutions and markets from propagating to others, and not by reducing the incidence of failures to zero. There will always be incidents. So essentially, The regulator should ensure that problems at one institution don't propagate to others in the system. Appropriate monitoring of new products, markets, and process, and thorough understanding of financial innovations to avoid widespread harm to consumers and avoid systemic crisis. Of course, there should be effective surveillance with focus on certain red flag developments that have been linked to problems in the past. As I said, whenever there's a crisis, the regulation will come into focus, and then there'll be detailed analysis of what all led to the crisis, and then later on people will forget about it. So, of course, the regulators and supervisors should also have requisite skills and experience. In fact, they should have superior knowledge and skills. But of course, there is a significant gap between the package of incentives offered to the regulators versus those offered to the practitioners. So that would always be there, but yet, one should try and ensure that the regulators have superior knowledge and skills, and they continuously upgrade their knowledge and skills, given the rate at which the knowledge is changing and the rate at which new products and services are coming into the market. And one request that I make to the regulators here is that, for researchers, I think, it should be easier to get the data. Access to data, it should not be so difficult, I think the market infrastructure institutions make their money through all other activities. They can't think of making money through data also. The data is a result of all those transactions through which they earn their money. And they may price these data services to commercial entities, but they can't price these data services to academic and research institutions. If at all they want to do it, they can do it on a marginal cost plus basis. They can't recover the entire costs of maintaining the data from all the users. And secondly, there is this reluctance on the part of regulators. Data exists, by the way. Data is there. But there is reluctance to share a part with the data, because the typical apprehension, which I would say is a bureaucratic apprehension, is what if some adverse findings or adverse results come out of analysis of data. That, I think, is something which one should get over. As Professor Bakul Dalakia, while offering a training program for IAS officers at IIM Ahmedabad, I was helping him. He said, the bureaucratic approach is, if there's a 5% chance of failure of a particular policy, but there is 90% chance of success of that policy, a bureaucrat would cite that 5% chance of failure and scuttle the introduction of that policy itself. Wouldn't even give it a chance. So I think that approach will have to change. It's okay even if some not so pleasant findings come out of the research. That's fine, that's part of life. So, sorry, I say this with due apologies to the regulator. So, we were trying to get data on individual FI-wise, individual stock-wise, daily purchase and sales. The data exists both with RBI and SEBI, but we had very, very great difficulty in getting that data. Finally, we had to convince RBI to part of the data. My PhD student also offered something in return to them. So, I think for all of us who do empirical research in financial markets, data is very critical, and I think on behalf of all of you, I'm making this appeal. So I thank the Institute for giving me this opportunity. I wish all the delegates great learning experience during these days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on the importance of change and educating us about green finance, fintechs, and data regulations at a time when the world is so focused on ESG and technology. I'm sure it was very enlightening for all the attendees. Now I request Raman sir to present our guest with a token of appreciation. Our next guest is a whole-time member at SEBI, Mr. Ananta Barua. Mr. Ananta Barua was appointed by the central government as a whole-time member of Securities and Exchange Board of India in Mumbai on 1st August 2018. Mr. Barua looks after the Investment Management Department, Market Regulation Department, Enforcement Department, Legal Affairs Department, Inquiry and Adjudication Department, Recovery and Refund Department, Board Cell and Parliamentary Affairs Cell. Prior to this position, Mr. Barua served as Executive Director from May 2010 to July 2018 in SEBI. He was in charge of various departments as an ED in SEBI, such as the Investment Management Department, Foreign Portfolio Investors, Listing and Corporate Restructuring, among others. He joined SEBI in 1992 and was instrumental for developing regulatory frameworks for almost all the regulations framed by SEBI, and recently for issue and listing of debt securities, electronic book platform, alternative investment funds, insider trading, research and analysts, and also assisted in developing regulatory framework of ICDR, buyback and delisting regulations, etc. Sir, we are very pleased to have you with us. I now request Mr. Ananta Barua to deliver the expert's talk.
Yeah, you put it down. Then I will allow it to press. It should not be any accident. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Dr. Pillai, Dr. Ramachandran, Dr. Rao, Mr. Rai, and other dignitaries. And especially the whole wealth creator present here. Why I'm telling, because I believe that Saraswati creates more Lakshmi than the finance, and therefore education is the greatest wealth creator. And we have seen in the world the war which is happening. If I don't want to say anyone, if studied and learn from Indian culture, especially right from the beginning, we preach non-violence, and that is ingrained and that can be inculcated by educators.
They will put collar mics.
As usual.
They can hear you properly. They are very keen to listen to you.
India is one of the the few countries where the retail investors directly participate in the capital market. Right from the beginning, when the trading was open, we have seen retail investors directly investing in the market, whether it is the primary market and the secondary market. If you see the world over, it is a different. And what happens actually, there are underwriters are there. They have their client, and the underwriters, what they do, especially with the brokers or merchant bankers and all, they have the client and they pull money from the clients and mutual fund and then invest. So normally, retail investors do not directly invest in the market. Recently in USA, they started telling, they have come out with the concept known as a direct listing. And it was told to be innovation. And the first company to be listed was like Spotify. What happens when the retail investors invest, when there is a upside and all, then they gain. And then a lot of thing was faced because the retail investors could participate in the gain and all. But this innovation, if you see in India, right from the beginning, it was there. The direct listing, the concept is in India there is when the company when they raise the capital from the market, the retail investors they participate. Now there is a change. We come out with the book building. We have a two process: profit making and non-profit making. Where book is built by the institutional investors, and after the price is determined, then it is offered to the retail. That is the point. Recently, you have seen there is a large participation of retail investors, and especially the total demat account has gone up to 10.8 crore, which is more than 100 million, which is maybe more than any population of any country. And you see right from the beginning, from 92, when earlier there was a regime of control over capital issues, but everything was controlled. Any issuer raising capital with how much he can raise, the instrument they can raise, whether it is equity or debt, and the timing, whether so that there is no bunching, everything was controlled. But in 92, everything was deregulated and SEBI was created. And the new generation regulators, they were given three roles: investor protection, regulation of the market, and development of the market. Actually, Mr. Rao has stated that regulators should not, in a way, constrain the market and development innovations. And I will tell you, this role which has been given to the regulator has helped the market to develop much faster than where the market itself was there. Why? I will tell you. New York Stock Exchange and all, there was a floor was trading, which was going on till 2004 and all. India is the country in 94 where we went for electronic trading. Earlier, we had 23 stock exchanges. All state had one stock exchange for permitting, enabling trading by the investors. But after 94, what has happened? We went online electronic trading, and the investors can trade from all nook and corner of the India. And that is the beauty, and we have now only two exchanges, mainly, and there are other exchanges out there, National Stock Exchange, BSE, their terminal and brokers are spread all over the world. With the click of button, they can trade. That goes up to in 94. And it is all electronic screen-based trading. The investors can see his trade and how, at what price the trade was executed. Earlier what used to happen, any broker used to take a order, no, when he used to place order, used to go to the floor and the price at which he has bought. So he used to, there will be some broker, they used to tell you that they have bought the scrip at the highest price, and while selling, he may say he at the lowest price. So there was a scope for means at the expense of the client. But now with the electronic trading, he knows when his trade was executed and what price. And this transparency has helped and the reach of investors, because more and more investors they got to faith. This is, as I said, electronic trading, and in 1994 and 96, India was one of the countries which went for the wholesale dematerialization of securities. Securities are demated. If you see in other world, there is a concept known as immobilization. The securities are immobilized in a custody, and the trading is in electronic. And before starting this process of dematerialization, I was one of the SEBI officers. We visited many depositories at that time, how to bring in these regulations. So what in many jurisdictions, what we used to do, they used to go for public advertisement, if so and so security will be dematerialized, and then the investors were given some time to surrender their certificate. After the investors given a certificate, then after that the trading used to start. But I will tell you, the SEBI was one of the innovative regulators. What SEBI did, they announced that first the trading in the securities for the institutional investors, for suppose for 200 scrips, will be in demat form. It was made mandatory initially for 10, 200 and gradually. And now we see total whole securities are dematerialized. Had we followed the precedent of other jurisdictions, because we have a more than 5 scripts which are listed in the, about 4,000 scripts listed in the stock exchanges. So then you would have not have been complete. But now all scripts are dematted. And then subsequently, we went that if any company comes with an issue to the public, then it has to be demat form. Because this electronic trading and demat, everything was opposed. That's why I told why it has taken faster, because it is a regulator who mandated these reforms first. Otherwise, what happens? The existing, there will be always some segment we will oppose the reform. The market, if you leave everything to market, development may be slow, because there may be some constituent who may not, because he may suffer some losses and other things. He may have some other benefit. But with the regulator and innovations, the Indian market has developed faster. And one more thing, this I have spoken about the growth of a demat account, how it has helped the companies not to raise capital and trading in the market. And in India is a country where these people are spread all over the world. And one more thing Mr. Rao said, there is two ways which the regulator takes a flag. One is, they may say the regulator was too conservative. and they praise also regulator and they also give flack to the regulator. And one of the reasons is that why our regulated financial inclusion and regulated entities, why it did not spread all across the country, why there was some scams has taken place, because the unregulated entities has raised a lot of capital. Because the penetration of regulated entities was not that faster. It is both the way, it cuts both the way. And then especially SEBI and we went for a technological, just like electronic trading, dematerialization, which has helped in spread of the equity cultures all over the country. I will give some examples how today, if you see the total, this AUM of mutual fund is about more than 40 lakh, 37,000 crores. And this amount, normally if you compare with the US and other countries, what happens? The mutual fund industry is much more bigger. There's 2-3 reasons are there. Because in many countries, the AMC, asset management company, which is the manager, they regulate, they are the manager for all the funds, whether it is an insurance fund or pension fund. But in India, it is segregated. That's why you see when they compare why the wealth under management or asset under management, if you compare with other countries, that is not apple to apple. That is one. Second thing is that the many countries, they have a money market mutual funds where they allow assured return totally. But India is one of the countries we don't allow assured return. There is no constant NAV. We have a variable NAV. That means it is all subject to market risk. That is one of the unique features of Indian mutual fund industry. And there is one more feature which is unique. As you know, if any, and it is not unique to mutual fund, but it is unique to other financial institutions. If any bank, they raise a deposit, they collect the deposit, it becomes their liability. And when they give the loan, it becomes their asset. It is shown in their balance sheet. But in case of mutual fund, everything remains in the custody of the custodian on behalf of the investors. The investors continues to remain a beneficial owner of the asset. It doesn't go to anywhere. That is one of the things. Even if any AMC goes bust, but the asset will remain with the custodian, and that asset will be distributed ultimately to the unit holders. It is totally pass-through structure, and there is one more, the level of transparency is that the whole portfolio of the investor, of the mutual fund, any scheme is disclosed. Actually, in case of equity, it is to be disclosed every month. In case of debt, it is every bi-weekly. That if the scheme is holding how much assets and all. This has an advantage also, this has a disadvantage also. That's it. So here, if you see, there are many unregulated entities, they have raised capital and they have vanished because they had no clue what they have done with the money which has been raised. But this may not happen with a mutual fund. Because what happens when a money is collected, there is a trustee, then it is assigned to the AMC for managing. Then after the asset is bought, it is kept with the custodian. And then AMC and AMFI, they have to disclose. That is the advantage. Secondly, if you see the portfolio, especially in the debt, you know how much portfolio has been invested in which securities and of what rating. But in case of banks and all, no, they invest in the loans and other things. You come to know if there is any default by any borrower after 3 months or when it becomes NPA. But it is not in case of mutual fund. As I said to you, the regulator has played a very progressive role for many innovations as they come, because there is a development role, and which has also helped in tackling removing the root cause of inefficiencies, and which was against the interest of the investors. And actually, one example I have given of dematerialization. When there was physical papers, and then for delivery of that physical, suppose you buy a security. Earlier there was a accounting period of 30 days. Suppose you want to sell, then after settlement of 15 days or 30 days, the security will go to your account. There will be a transfer date, and you used to take 2-3 months to get your security to be transferred in their months. Means 1 to 3 months. And there was a lot of mismatch of securities were there. Your signature is not verified and all. Now it is instantaneous. You buy securities and everything. So what has happened actually, these innovations of dematerializations, which was mandated by SEBI, has removed all the inefficiencies. Had we left to the market, whether they could have gone, okay, to increase efficiency or not, it would have taken much more longer time. And in 2011, we allowed mutual fund to float. We said all the mutual fund will give option, what we call a direct plan. Means investors can buy mutual fund unit directly from the manufacturer. It need not go through the distributors. So we have a direct plan where investors can directly buy from the any MC, from any schemes. If you see we have a total number of folios of the mutual fund, which is demat account is different, and in case of mutual fund there are it need not be dematted compulsory. So you hold a statement. So it is much more than. So we have a folio about 12.6 crores, and investors can be in multiple mutual funds. So he may not be unique, just like a bank account holder, he may account many banks. So unique folio, this unique investors in the mutual funds are about 4.37 crore. And if you see the direct investors is about 17.44 lakh crore, and 33% are individuals who are other than NRIs and HUF. And recently there were some entities, and one of the things which happens, it is also responsibility of the regulator, that if there is any product or any market or any participant, if it poses systemic risk, if it is unregulated, then the regulator has to see which is this entity, whether they have to be brought within the regulatory frame. There were many entities, they were allowing the investment in direct plan through their digital interface. And recently, SEBI has come out with the regulations. We call it electronic EOP, that is this executions only platform for direct plans. That platform, what they do, because there is a different regulations are there. One is investment advice and all, because the investment advisor, they have to be fiduciary of the client. He has to act in the best interest. And this direct plan is only for education. So there are many entities has come who is providing this platform, and we will see that this will help in further growth of the direct investments. And these entities can be registered as an agent of AMC, like distributor, or as an agent of investors, like a broker. And one more thing which the mutual fund provides facility, we have a liquid and then debt funds. And as I said, the whole portfolio is known, and then there is a daily NAV, because you know net asset value of it, and it is done there. But if you see in case of banks and other entities, you don't have that one. And based on that, they have to give if somebody wants to subscribe or someone wants to exit, so based on daily NAV. And in 2000, what SEBI did, SEBI allowed in 2017 instant access facility. Means if in case of especially overnight funds and liquid schemes, an investors, if he wants to redeem securities up to 50,000 or 90% of his investment in these schemes, that will go to his bank account on that day itself. It is like a bank. In other jurisdictions, especially in US and other, there were two funds. One was money market fund, one is for retail, one is for government securities. And there they were giving guarantee of $1, in a sense, breaking the buck. If suppose it comes below NAV, then it is known as a business. And during the financial crisis, they were run on because the NAV of the schemes came down. And after that, they brought a reform, and in that reform, this money market mutual fund, they are divided in two parts. One is for institutional investors, one for retail. The retail continues to give guarantee constant NAV, but in case of institutions, that has been done away with. And secondly, they can issue checks. Suppose you have a mutual fund units, so you can issue check in the name of that scheme, and the money will be debited from your units which are holding, and which is not allowed in India. There's a difference, but the money will go to in one day. So the investment has become very liquid. That is one of the things which has helped in the market. And for increasing penetration, what the SEBI has done, because mutual fund is also one of the product where the expense ratio is much more less. Actually, NPS is lowest, and after that, mutual where total expenses are regulated, and there is also need to go for financial inclusions in cities which are under-penetrated. So we have a scheme we call Beyond 30 Cities, where the special 30 bips are given to if they bring new investors from the cities. And one more thing which is new product which has come and which can be also one of that there is a lot of debate between active versus passive. And EPFO, they have earlier, because the public's money is there, so they are scary, especially the trustees and all investing in the equity market. It is because subject to the market risk. They are investing about 15% of their corpus in the ETFs. That is one of the good things which has come. And the total investment in the ETF is about passive funds, including index fund, is 6,46,086 crore, which is about 16% of total AUM of the country. And recently, also, SEBI came out with a regulations to help develop this package. This is also one of the development roles with CDP. Here, now for passive and ETFs, the SEBI has said that the appointment of two market makers should be mandatory, because what happens is ETFs are listed, and but the NAB there may be, because underlying there is the portfolio they may hold, there may be some differences of tracking differences between the things, and what may happen, there may not be investors who may buy this ETF from the market. Therefore, this market making has been made compulsory, where they will be quote, they will be obligated to buy and sell. And earlier for ETF, they could go to for some unit directly to the, we call it a creation unit with the mutual fund. Now that limit has been increased to 25 crore. If you want to directly go and reading from the AMCs, then if the amount is more than 25 crore, then only you can go. And secondly, to encourage this one, there will be a liquidity window. Means even though you cannot, suppose you are holding below 25 crore, you cannot go to the AMC for reading. And secondly, there is market is also not that one. Are you not able to, even though the spread may be high, you may not be able to, may not sell to the market maker and all. So there will be liquidity window period, means after 1 month or 2 months, which will be offered by the AMCs. And as I said, increasing the market efficiency. And this is also a role which means right from dematerialization, electron trading, everything is done in consultations with the stakeholders. And SEBI in 2021 proposed moving the settlement system to T+1, which will be, India will be first in this case. The markets have responded favorably by adopting a phased approach, and now last, which are more liquid securities, 200 securities will move to T+1 settlement in February 2003. And all securities will be settled through T+1. There are a lot of benefits of this. This T+1 will increase in market liquidity in the securities and funds of trades carried out on trading day, and will be available on the next working day itself. Suppose today you execute a trade, next day you will get the fund. An early settlement of funds and securities under T+1 settlement cycle may enable mutual funds to facilitate faster availability of redemption proceeds to investors. Earlier I was talking about redemption, because in other it is not in one day, only on overnight and liquid you get in one day. So in others, depending on your when you redeem, depending on that when the security is sold, then because it is sold in T+2, then only after that the money is the mutual fund will be able to sell in the T+2, and after that the money will be created to your fund. The other benefit associated with T+1 cycle include increased trading turnover and reduced settlement risk, thereby leading to overall development of the securities market. And similarly, we have made the interoperable framework for clearing corporations. The trades which has been executed can be it can be consolidated, their clearing and settlement functions at a single clearing corporation, because of all the exchanges they have a separate to it, and then it can be cleared in one of the clearing corporations, irrespective of the stock exchange on which the trade was executed. There is a lot of development work has been done. I don't want to go on for only important because I don't also want to take one more time. And there have been lot of, as you said, the capital market, the emphasis right from the beginning have been on leveraging the technology. And all KYC and everything, other authentication is done through digital mode. Recently, as you know, in case of the corporate debt market, what happens if you go to the bank? In case of any borrower, he wants to borrow, or he has to mortgage his assets. Whether suppose you are taking housing loan to your house or any other asset the borrower wants to take. Similarly, there is a mechanism in case of raising of debt or debentures because these are secured and generally there is a floating charge. So any issuer who raises there is floating charge, then there is a debenture trustee. Then the debenture trustee sees that there is a adequate security cover for which the loan has been taken. To strengthen the process of security creations, monitoring of security created, monitoring of security cover and covenants of non-convertible securities, a platform for security and covenant monitoring system hosted and maintained using digital ledger technology has been developed by the depositories. Now, this DLT is being used for monitoring and creation of security for, and this will help the borrower will see whether that security cover is sufficient or not. And one more thing was happened, India is a country, as I said, there is a lot of participation from the retail. And then the retail not only participates in trading, but he also participates in the governance of the company. And what SEBI has mandated means already the e-voting is taking place and with the help of the Companies Act and others. And the e-voting has been enabled for all retail Demat account holders by way of a single login credentials through their Demat account or through websites of depositories and depository participants. In the second phase, what will happen, they can vote through their registered mobile based on this OTP verifications. That is one of the few things which I'm talking about the leveraging of technology, but it has both the things. Even though the technology has helped in spread and depending on the market, but there is other challenges which the regulator faces. As you know, there is the regulator has to maintain the fair market and all, and there may be some player who may be engaging in insider trading or market manipulations. So it has become challenging because now the trail is not there. There are vanishing messages and all. So what happens, the obligation is on the regulator to prove that somebody has traded based on inside information. But collecting this data is becoming more and more challenging. But however, SEBI are using AI and other things, and what we do, these technologies are used for call data record analysis, for bank statement analysis, for identifying concentration and connection, because they trade in all the things. So data are increasingly used, and always there is a challenge and cat and mouse story goes on. For deepening the market, new products are being introduced, And one such product is electronic gold receipt. It is a very unique product, but the gold will be, will be held with a vault, and against that, a gold receipt can be issued. So, if you want to give anything to your wife, instead of giving the gold, you can give the receipt. So she can take from that. And that is the unique, and you can take as per your choice. And actually, what happens, it becomes very difficult to give a thing which your wife may like. So what I have done, I have given my credit card to her. But now, had there been easier, I could have given the easier to her. And there is also one more platform which has been allowed, is online bond platform. We have seen that, especially even though there are two markets, one is for retail and one is for institutional investors. We have seen more and more there is a participant of the institutions in this bond market. And then the minimum amount for trading in the bond market is 2 lakhs and all, because they have been insulated. So now here in this platform, what happens, some broker, they can buy from this private market and sell to the retail investors. And as I said, especially in USA and all, the bond market is very developed. So it caters to the need of many issuers and all. And especially the good companies, they can raise capital even at a better pricing than the government itself. If you go to the Microsoft and all, they get a better price. But in India, it is very, earlier this whole market was opaque. We call it a private placement market. It was left to the issuer to whom they will offer these bonds, and different, they used to, in the private placement market, there was no transmission at all. The system was introduced where an electronic book platform, where there will be no bidding, where the all issuer can get the better price and the various investors can participate. Earlier, the SPI and all, they were not participating in the private placement market. Now in this electronic book platform, they are participating. And I will give you a figure in 2020-21, about 1,146 issues. They have raised more than 7,000 crore the debt capital from this platform. And recently, SEBI has come out with one more innovative things. Actually, the capital market, we believe that the capital market should allow all types of issuers to raise capital. Whether it is a SME, there is a separate platform. No, whether it is a corporate or whether it is for infrastructure financing. You may be knowing about REIT and InvIT. InvIT is also one of the innovative, even though REIT is already there. And in India, we have a separate challenges, so InvIT has been introduced. Recently, there is a new concept which has come. We call it social stock exchange. And here, social enterprises, they will be, eligible to raise capital from the public through this after registering with the stock exchanges. Already, this BSC has been given registrations and NSE has made applications. And these social enterprises, they can raise capital through equity, means if they are for profit or non-profit as a company, or they can raise through zero coupon and zero principal bonds, means which is like a donation, but the minimum amount is of 2 lakhs. And we have a venture capital fund, one category, it is category 1. They are social impact funds. What they do, they take money from the HNIs and they invest in all those NGOs and all. And we will see soon, this is maybe one of the topic which will because there is a lot of works need to be done. Even the SEBI has in consultations with the Institute of Chartered Accountants in India, they will come out with the social audit of this, how much impact. Because if you are listed, you require transparency. Even suppose you have an income and expenditure account, then that account, whether how much impact it has done from the fund which have raised, how many people from the suppose has been given educations from the deprived classes and all that has to be done. Similarly, there has to, engaging with NABARD and SIDBI for capacity building fund for this, so that even this sector also, the NGO sector also become transparent on this. And one more focus, as I said, how in the beginning, I said mutual fund is totally transparent structures. And I want to give a story of, it is in Hindi language called Tera Kya Bigaad Lega. What happens actually, there was one person, he invited some Pandit for doing some Havan. So he said ki the minimum cost will be 5,000, which I don't have. Then can you arrange 2,000? He says, I don't have. Then he said ki no, 1,000. He said, I don't have. Then Pandit said, Tera Bhagwan bhi kuch nahi bigaad sakta. Similarly, in case of mutual fund, it is, the assets are not in AMC's book, the balance sheet. There is no asset and liability. So it is bankruptcy remote. Okay, the funds are separate. And therefore it is a totally, it is not like insurance and bank. They are subject to prudential regulations. It is different. Even though there is no prudential regulations, the SEBI as a thing to make the mutual fund more robust, there is a net worth requirement. But it is not capital adequacy depending on the fund. It is a minimum net worth. That is so that whatever fund is raised with the custody and all, it is for proper, so that they have a proper infrastructure and management so that they can deliver whatever money. Because if you are pulling money from the public, you should be responsible and you should have a trust, and you should be able to have better managers who can deliver better than the investor himself. As far as the mutual fund, it was totally passed through. So recently, what we have done, in case of US and all, what happens, the broker, he can, just like banks, the securities are held in the street name, means in the broker name. Just like when your money goes to the bank, it doesn't remain with the bank can do anything he likes. You do not know, he can invest anywhere the bank likes. Okay, but it is not in case of mutual fund, because he has to invest as per the investment objective. And then he has to deliver as per the benchmark. He has to say, yeah, this is the benchmark, this is my performance. And he cannot act at his whims and fancies as such, because he has to go by the investment objective. Similarly, what was happening actually for trading in the stock exchange, if you wanted to trade, then the securities was in your demat account, because it was a gross settlement. Because suppose a broker had a many client, suppose he traded in one script, Tata script, all he want to purchase, so he will, the whole his transactions will be netted. He will in the, suppose in the market, and after that there will be payout and all. Then the security comes to his pool account of the broker. All the, suppose there are many of you want to sell Tatas. Whoever is a Tata, then he will try to sell at the best price. And suppose you want to buy, he will buy at the best price. So it comes to the first the pool account. Then after that goes to, after the trade is executed, then goes to the respective account of the client, demat account. There is a, similarly the money was there, so he will buy the money. But there may be cases, he may be using one's money. Suppose there is in one cases, it has moved higher and the margin may not be enough. And in other cases, he has collected higher margin, so he may use others' money for others. And secondly, he can use possibility of using his money for his own trade. We call it Peter Paul and whatever is there. So recently, now we came out with a system. It is also innovative system by the regulator. We call it, and there is a block mechanism. Means your security in the demat account, if you sell, will be blocked. It will be released only after trade is executed, and then your net obligation from your demat account directly will go to the clearing corporation. Similarly, the fund, if you are trading your fund, your money will remain in your account. You will continue to get the interest, and then after trade is executed, then the money will be released and will go to the clearing corporation, and then it will go to the seller who is given. This is the second one. No, we call it. We have come out with the consultation paper, and there is a lot of apprehension that because there will be direct settlement, the broker and other are apprehensive. But the trade will be continued to be executed through broker. Secondly, they will be responsible for this exposure and margin and risk management. And this has come recently, and also there will be a lot of discussions. And this is also an innovative step which SEBI has taken, and this will also totally, the cause of misuse and other things will be rooted right from the beginning, in the root itself. And Mr. Rao, he has spoken much about ESG norms. I am refraining from because he was much more exhaustive. So there is a lot of initiative which is done. Only thing, SEBI came out with the regulations in 2017, and I don't know. I think he has given a figure. The more than 4,539 crores has been raised through, and there is also many new concepts are coming for blue bonds, water management and main sector. Then yellow bonds for solar energies and all. So they will come. And then already, we have a BRSR, this business responsibility and sustainability report. And actually there are three prongs, this thing are being developed for environment, social and governance. There are three committees, they are looking into developing separate parallel approach for ESG rating. Actually there is a lot of green washing takes place. So there will be a rating agency who will be regulated to focus on social factor including employment generations, then developing uniform indicators of governance as input for ESG ratings and for case ratings, disclosures in the rationale of ESG rating providers on what and how quality factors were factored in ESG rating. I do not know if I am exceeding time, so there are two more important things are there. So I will escape that one. One was on risk management, and then how we address the liquidity issues, open-ended and funds and this. As I recently you have seen in the Bank of England, there was an issue, and the government also fed it. And it is told now the 2008 financial crisis, there was main focus was that to see that financial institutions are strong enough, having a strong enough balance sheet, so that all their liabilities in a market of falling asset prices are sufficient to withstand this one. And rising low defaults, that was the main thing to be addressed. Now everything has gone to the liquidity risk. If you see, due to the rise in interest rate, what has happened actually, the existing bond has become illiquid because now people are preferring the bonds with higher interest rate. And there is a lot of initiative which SEBI has taken. I will not go in detail, like swing pricing, then segregated portfolio, backstop facility, limited purpose clearing corporation. We are in detail. because due to shortage of time, so I will not go into this. But to the researchers, I will suggest, means it is up to them. Some topics are there. Actually, in case of IPO, no, we have seen there is two things. Instead of raising fresh capital, there is there is more offer for sale. In India, no, the whole economic system, especially that the companies are hitting the market, no, especially for exit, offering the skill. Whether it will be which is good, whether they should be allowed only for raising capital. But we believe that this is a good thing. Earlier, what was happening? The retail investor was acting as a risk investor. Now, what has happened? A company is groomed right from the beginning by the private equity, all funds, and after that they come for exit. That is a good thing which has done. Similarly, the debate on direct and regular plans, active and passive, then ESG investing, then digital influencing, the financial literacy, and in case of insurance, there is a unified licensing in insurance. And then there's a lot of debate on defined benefit pension scheme to defined contribution funds. So there are many more topics maybe there, and especially and all such as CBDT and all. And I don't want to go on and with this. Thanks for patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us about mutual funds, different kinds of bonds, how stock market and SEBI work, and how they have evolved over the years through constant innovations and initiatives. I'm sure it was indeed an enriching experience for all the participants. Now I request Pankaj sir to present Ananta sir with a token of appreciation.
Thank you. Oh, very good. That's a good one. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Now, we move on to the final guest of the day, Mr. Sumit Rai. Mr. Rai is currently the MD and CEO of Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance and has nurtured a strong leadership team to build a multi-channel distribution network and a robust portfolio of offering for its customers. Under Sumit Sir's leadership, Edelweiss Tokyo Life has earned several industry recognitions bolstered by the key mantras of customer centricity and innovation. Before taking charge as the MD and CEO, he served as the company's Chief Distribution Officer for a brief period. Previously, as a founder team at Max Life, he played a key role with the team that created one of India's largest life insurance companies. He was also associated with Bank of America and ABN AMRO Bank in the past, wherein he was instrumental in strategizing and implementing various strategic initiatives for the respective companies. We would now like to invite Mr. Sumit Rai to deliver the expert's talk.
It's good afternoon now. So we've moved from good morning to good afternoon. Esteemed panelists, Dr. Rao, it's actually an honor to be with all of you. As a practitioner, and that's what we call ourselves as the industry. We are the recipients of all the wisdom that academics and the regulators create, and the framework that they create which allows us to work in a seamless and efficient manner. So thank you very much for all the work that you put in, sir, both at the regulatory side as well as at the academic side. And it's really, like I said, we are the recipients. So therefore, it is rightfully in the order that I come in last in this gathering, because that is how the order of things in life is. As I was listening to you, sir, a couple of things struck me. I think I am part of the generation which benefited immensely from the wave of reforms that were set in by Dr. Manmohan Singh and the P.V. Narasimha Rao government. It was a point of discontinuity to my mind in a lot of ways. I think the India of today, 30 years later, 31 years later, is very, very different from the India that I grew up in, the India that I went to school in. And I'm sure that's true for a lot of people who are part of my generation. But what I also see today is that I think we are at a very similar inflection point in this country once again. I think we've gained a lot over the last 30 years, but over the next 30 years, I think we will see even more gains than we have. And so to the students here today, I think you are entering the workforce at an immensely opportune time, because the kind of opportunities that you will get, the kind of work that you can do is very, very different from the kind of things that we did. We were very different from the generation previous to us in the kind of opportunities and work that was given to us, and I think you folks will be very, very different. Life will be a lot more competitive. With things like ChatGPT, for example, some of the routine work that many of people of my generation did to get to top won't cut anymore, quite honestly. I was having a chat with my son. He's a second year, he's a lawyer, 2 years of experience, and he was doing some work on ChatGPT. Then he came and showed somebody. He said, Dad, I won't have a job at this rate in another 5 years, because most of the work that I do, ChatGPT will do for free. Right? And I said, so the challenge for you is to say, what is it that ChatGPT can't do, and where you will bring in specialization. So I think the world ahead is going to be very interesting, very challenging. Will call for a lot of new skills. And what I think we will also see is an immense explosion in India, especially on the consumer finance side. Having spent nearly my entire working life of 2.5 decades on the consumer finance side, first in the lending side of the business, and then subsequently for the last 20 odd years in the insurance side of the business. The one thing that strikes me is that despite all that we've seen over the last 25 years, consumer literacy about finance is negligible. It is an amazing fact, but it is extremely true. And I'll give you why I say that with so much emphasis. About 3 weeks ago, a friend of mine who heads one of the AMCs, okay, so now this is a seasoned finance personnel. He had a policy, a life insurance, an annuity policy, and he had to make a choice about what annuity to choose, and he was thoroughly confused. He had no idea what to do. Right? And so I kind of guided him through the process of what might be the right things to do. But then that set me thinking. I said, this is a person who spent his entire life in financial services, and he can't make head or tails of what we are doing with something as simple as annuity. What is an annuity? It is a promise of a payment for the rest of your life, right? But somebody like that, a seasoned person, could not make sense. And it just struck me as sad, because I can only imagine how many other people make wrong choices because of this lack of knowledge. But it also struck me as a huge opportunity. As we go forward with technology and everything else, I think we can simplify a lot of these things for people. We can really make life very, very simple and help make people better choices. Why do scams happen? Scams happen because people don't know what is right or wrong. People buy something because I came and said, this is good for you. I have trust, I bought it. Hopefully my trust will be paid well, but it can also go the other way. And a lot of times the people who sell also believe they're selling the right thing, but they don't know it is not the right. So I think that the one thing that technology will do is to help you understand in general your options better and help you make a better choice. And that's my sincere hope that that's what technology can do, because that is really what will make for a discontinuous turn in our business. Sir, I think you also spoke about 4 crore unique individual, who are invested in the mutual fund business, and I was just thinking about it. Think of the immense opportunity in this country. 140 crore people, and 4 crore people have mutual fund ID. Unique people, right? And that, by the way, is good enough over the last 1.5 years to take care of our markets when FIIs were pulling out money. The domestic inflows were strong enough to take care of our market. Imagine if this 4 went to 8 and then went to 16 and then went to 32, how much more, what our markets could look like. How much money could we raise within this country to support the growth of this country? When you were talking about green finance, and I was relating to my business, and the fact that, my promise, the promise of the life insurance industry to the customer is what? That I will pay you something 15, 20, 25, 30 years down the line. And if you look at the principle of asset liability management, then I need to have an asset which will pay me over the 20, 25, 30 year period. And what could be better than green financing? Sure, there are some risks. There should be some ability to mitigate that risk. And I'm sure as we go along, we will find those ways to mitigate that risk. But there is so much more that can be done beyond what we've already done. And it is the one thing that I think this generation that is coming in now should be thankful for. Because the avenues for you to do something new, something innovative, something truly path-breaking is absolutely immense. So what I'm going to do over the next 20 odd minutes, I think, is talk from the rather staid world of consumer finance. That's really the only world that I understand. I'm not a high finance guy. And because I'm a consumer finance guy, I'm sorry, I tend to lapse in Hindi once in a while because that's the language that we communicate it in the market. मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा फाइनेंस नहीं समझ में आता, मैं बहुत सिंपल आदमी हूँ. And over the years, because of the nature of profession, some things you have to learn in order to be able to be successful in business. But by and large, the area that I'm personally comfortable in is in the area of consumer finance and how we see things turning in consumer finance, and therefore how our world in India could emerge over the next few decades. So we'll just talk largely about some big trends, and this is the first big one. We don't see ourselves like this. In India, we constantly talk of the demographic dividend, the fact that India is still a young country, the fact that so many, and we'll talk about some of those numbers also, how many more people are going to get into the work stream is also something that we'll talk about. But you know what? There are 10 crore people in this country who are above 60. And that number is going to increase every single year. Our financial sector, in general, has not done enough to cater to this consumer. This is an opportunity of immense proportions. And there are precedents about this. If you look at some of the more advanced markets, some of the more aged countries, if you look at Japan, for example, which has a very large aged population, or senior population, or silver population, whichever we want to call. But what we've also realized over a period of time is there are solutions that work in Japan and solutions that work in a US or Europe don't necessarily always work well in India. And that is part of the reason why I think from a regulatory side and from a innovation side, India has done a lot more around product innovation and regulatory innovation that those markets have. This will lead to a significant disruption in how we look at benefits for senior citizens. And when I say benefit, to me, this is the area where financial services, healthcare, property, these 3 or 4 large trends will have to coalesce for you to be able to do a really good job for this segment, right? So it is about being able to create enough money out of what you've saved in your life to be able to live a proud, healthy life, being able to afford your health care, being able to live either on your own or in an aged community, whichever way you would want to live. I think these are 2 or 3 large trends that will coalesce and will throw up immense opportunities in this country. And this is something because in a country of 140 crore, 10 crore looks like a very small number, 10 crore doesn't look like a segment to be catered for. But remember, some countries in Europe have a population less than this. Right? So this is a large market. This is a market that I think needs a lot of focus as we go forward. Of course, this is something that we keep seeing, increasing affluence. Average income is expected over the next 10 to 15 years to grow to about 1.5x from today. And let me just give you another small number. There are about 10 crore Indians, and this 10 crore number is a very repetitive one, so I don't know why this happens, but this 10 crore will come frequently. Now, only about 10 crore Indians who, for example, are regular online shoppers. Right? That's it. That's the size of California population. Right? California has total population of 10 crores. There are 10 crore Indians. So our market, while we think it's a very large market as of today, our market actually, given the size of our population, is still very small. As affluence increases, as some of these reforms that we are seeing today create more money in the pocket, we will see this change significantly. Affluence will lead to two things. A, more consumption. Affluence almost always needs more consumption, therefore more investment. But B, also more savings, and therefore more investments getting rooted through that side. So on both sides, we will see this effect as we kind of go forward from here. But again, this is where I think the academic world and the regulatory world especially will have to play a lot of role, because as affluence increases, people look for more ways to invest money, save money, and so on and so forth, and scams and everything else increases with this. With all the years of experience, a Bernie Madoff could take place in the US in 2000s. It's almost impossible to believe, right? I thought pyramid schemes and all of this only happened in the relatively underdeveloped world, and Bernie Madoff lived like that for 20 years. So I think regulatory frameworks and others to protect all of this will need to be strengthened. But this is going to be a tremendous opportunity as disposable income increases. We've already seen the benefit over the last 30 years. Remember, if some of you will remember what it used to be to live like in 80s, I remember if somebody came from abroad, how you asked for everything that you could, imagine, the goodies of the world that you wanted. Now people come and buy in India because India is cheaper to buy some of that stuff than US. Right? That's just how our world has changed. And I think a similar but more accelerated trend we will see once again as we go forward here. One of the big things that could happen with this is today the market for luxury goods in India is still relatively small. As affluence increases, that's the one market that could increase significantly. So today, China is the luxury engine of the world. Over the next 10 to 15 years, we could see that change significantly. And there are lots of things in which I think India and China will go head to head as India's relative prominence goes up, and China might feel a little bit more threatened by all of that, doesn't like to be threatened, and so I think some of those geopolitical things, I won't go into those, but I think those will happen. This is the other big thing, tier 2 towns, and this is actually, I think everybody's witnessed it. If you go to an Indore, if you go to an Nagpur, if you go to Guwahati, I think some of the most visible changes in these towns. I think what the metros have seen is has become kind of accepted as a norm. But when you go to these smaller towns, how lifestyle is changing, how communication is changing, how the penetration of internet is creating a whole generation of people who are a lot more aware of the world than the previous generation was. Right? It can have its upsides and downsides. I'm not saying there are only upsides to it. There are possible potential downsides to it also. I think one of the potential downsides across all of this, to my mind, is the growth of inequality. We have already seen that significantly over the last 25-30 years. I think that will continue, and that has its serious risk implications about what society could look like. But again, I'm an optimist. I do believe that more good will come out of this, and that as we grow more mature, we will find ways and means to handle some of the downsides of some of these trends. In India, from having worked in this business for the last 25 years, But when it comes to financial decisions, I think men make most of the decisions. 90% plus of the time, it's men who make a decision. But as more women enter workforce, as more women become independent, I think that trend will change. Therefore, a lot more focus, we believe, will go into creating products for women and creating products that actually support the lifestyle and the aspirations of the women consumers. Today, unfortunately, I'm absolutely candid about it. Unfortunately, I don't think the financial services sector caters much to the need of nearly 50% of the market. Because by and large, the decision maker even today continues to be the man. But we do believe that that will change significantly, and that will create a whole new wave of innovation around products for women. This, in some senses, we've spoken about in the affluence piece, so I will skip here. But broadly, affluence always leads to discretionary spend, and so a lot of other things will happen. So we'll skip that because it's in some senses linked. E-commerce is exploding. I just spoke about the 10 crore customers in the California market of India. But despite that, I think this number will keep going up. There are two very interesting things. Somewhere the other day I read about how internet usage growth has kind of stalled in India over the last 2 years. We are about the same level today where we were 2 years ago. So that's something that I guess needs some deeper studying as to why that is happening. But this mobile in every hand, a smartphone in every hand, is changing significantly consumption behaviors, impulse purchase. Some of that has changed significantly. I think some of the things that we don't see in India yet will become stronger. For example, fantasy sports, gambling will all come with all of this, right? If you go abroad, fantasy sports is very, very big as a market. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of this. So the most profitable companies in India in the e-commerce space are actually the fantasy sports companies. The Dream 11s of the world and all make much more money and are much, much more profitable than the Flipkarts of the world. Right. Gambling is a base human emotion. It will always stay, and companies will always live to take advantage of it. But e-commerce as a whole, and what all you will be able to do, will increase significantly. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine who's in the US, who was looking to buy a new car, and the car that he wanted was not available in his state. He's in Charlotte, in North Carolina. And he found the best deal of all the places in Texas. So he bought the car in Texas, and then they shipped it to him from Texas to North Carolina. Now that's a fair long shipping, right? We don't see things like that in India yet, but it will happen. It is bound to happen. And so therefore, both how people save for some of these things and how people spend will change significantly. Okay. This, I think, is a given. Everybody talks about it all the time, digitization. But I think it's, personally, in my view, it's more than digitization. Dr. Rao spoke about data and the fact that data pricing and all. So my belief is that data will keep getting pricier rather than getting cheaper as the value of that data and what you can do with the data increases, right? So, and you're right, it might call for regulatory intervention, therefore at least at an academic level in order to study some of the things that we should. But today, I think one of the big forces is, and let me talk about an example. Let me talk about, I don't know how many of you have heard of a company called Discovery. Okay. Discovery is a South African company. Okay. Now, one thing, innovation doesn't come to your mind when you think of South Africa, right? But South Africa, at least on the insurance side, has had a lot of innovation over the years. Now, Discovery is a health insurance company based out of South Africa. Back in the 90s, early 90s, they started collecting a phenomenal amount of data about customers. Okay. They didn't know what they will do with the data. They had no idea. But somebody somewhere had the vision to say someday this is going to be useful, they start collecting all of this. So I read a few questions about lifestyle, how people live. Then they created a reward program that allowed people to claim a rebate if they follow certain good habits, practices, and so on and so forth. Now all of this is adding up, right? With the reward program, they then created a whole buying platform, right? So with those reward points, you could buy various things. So now you are seeing both healthy lifestyle, but you are also seeing how that is being spent. They've done this over 30 years today. They're the masters of simply being able to predict from the inception how a human being will behave over a period of time, because they have collected data for 30 years. They can say, when I see this person, I see 120 other people who have lived the same kind of life. It's actually become valuable enough that they spun it off. This whole platform of data and the benefits that you can collect, they've spun it off into a separate company called Vitality. Now Vitality provides this service to health and life insurers around the world. Vitality then became important enough that one of the global biggies, AI, bought Vitality out. Right. It's just the power of data. Vitality has nothing here. It has a data model. It has a model of being able to figure out how a consumer will behave over a period of time, depending on what the democratic and other behavior indicators are. Right. This is only going to increase. We speak about all the time, digitization is also about not just digitization, but it's also about UX, consumer behavior, behavioral nudges. There are so many things that are involved, and I don't think, if you think of it very, very simply. Half the time what we do in corporate world in terms of digitization is that we create something new, then we go and train people on how to use it. But when you downloaded an Uber app or Ola app, nobody taught you how to use it. It was intuitive. You could do it very, very quickly. You could set it up for 5 minutes. I today see my parents in their 80s using various apps. They were not trained by anybody. They just found it intuitive to be able to use it. And I think that's where corporate India, or corporate world in general, it's not just about India, I think corporate world in general, outside of a few companies, has struggled to leverage all of this. That will improve over a period of time between data, UX, and digitization. Those things will change significantly, and I think that is where truly benefit for customers will start coming in. Now, I think Dr. Rao made a point earlier saying companies don't pass on the benefit of digitization or some of these efficiencies that come out of these, and I think in some cases they have, but in a lot of other cases, along with efficiency comes a lot of waste. Think of it this way, 10 years ago AI was also a big thing. People spent a lot of money 10 years ago, nothing came out of it. It's only beginning to come into play now. But a lot of people who spent that money then gave up. Wasted money. So a lot of money gets wasted in all of this. Some people make exceptional use of it, but most people don't. Right? And so therefore a lot of the benefit that could accrue doesn't accrue and doesn't get passed on. It's just waste costs that the economy incurs. Right? That I think is beginning to improve with things like design thinking and others. The whole fundamental way of thinking about how to reach out to consumers is changing very significantly. At the same point of time, I do want to call this, reaching consumers directly through the internet is a prohibitively expensive way. It's the most expensive way to reach out to consumers. Right? The only people who can do it is who have a lot of venture capital to waste. I'm making that point strongly because nobody else makes money out of it. Nobody else. I have tried it. I know it doesn't work. Right. At some point of time, however, this will change. I don't know what the point of inflection will be, but I strongly believe that it will change and that reaching consumers through internet will become a lot easier than it is today. How that will play out? Hard to say. And there is an evolving regulatory framework, especially on the life insurance side and insurance in general. Just as we just heard so much work that SEBI is doing and some of the landmark work that I think SEBI has done over the years as a very, very progressive regulator. We are seeing something similar happening in insurance now, dematerialization of policies, a lot more digital creation. We are in the process of creating the UPI of insurance, so to say. I don't know how that will play out, but sure. So a lot of efforts are happening, but as we go forward, there will be two sides of the regulatory framework as we see it. One side will be on the development of the market. How do we make the market broad? How do we make it more accessible? Let me give you a small example here. Insurance is, at its very essence, essentially a social good or a social benefit. Let me not call it social good, but certainly a social benefit, right? Especially in a country like ours, where there are no social benefits or state-sponsored social benefits, unlike a lot of other countries. Insurance does help families survive, right? But the fact is, just like there are 4 crore people who invest in mutual funds, in life insurance today, the average ticket size is 60,000 rupees. That means you're not catering to more than 5% of the market in this country. Why do we not cater to more than 5% of this country? Because economically, it is very difficult to reach beyond this. As you go down the ticket size funnel, your ability to make money out of it keeps reducing, right? And so that's a problem. But with everything that is going on with digitization, with the kind of pipes, digital pipes, Aadhaar, UPI, all of that, I think that difficulty is decreasing day by day, right? That is what I call the evolving regulatory framework. That has already happened. More will need to happen, but as an industry, we strongly believe that India today is a penetration of 3% on life insurance. In 10 to 15 years' time, we could be 6 to 7%. That's how much of upside there is in the country. And like I said, to cater to that kind of growth, because usually with growth will come a lot of malpractices, and I'll be candid about it. Corporate India, 25, 30 years, teaches you every time you have large spurts of growth, you have lots of malpractices that come with it. So the regulatory framework has to ensure that those are kind of catered for and kept under control, and therefore allow the market to grow strongly, but not grow unfettered, because unfettered can usually lead to problems. This is something that has happened over the last 2 years. Insurance traditionally, especially life insurance, has been a push product. Your agent comes, you say no, you say yes, whatever. I can tell you from personal experience, first 5-7 years, if I went to a party and people knew that I was working in life insurance, they would stay away from me because they thought I would push life insurance. Perils of whatever work you do. I think this has changed, especially since COVID, because the uncertainty of life and the downside of that uncertainty, I think, has become a lot more transparent to customers. And so that is one thing that we have seen happening in insurance over a period of time. It's not just insurance, I think lots of industries have benefited. I think there have been 2 or 3 seminal interventions that have happened. Demon, in some senses, was the first one, because a lot of digitization, UPI and everything else has happened from there. Whatever may have been the original intention of Demon, it has had some benefits, maybe spin-off benefits of a different variety, but it has had some benefits. Similarly, if you look at it, COVID and e-commerce, 10 years, 20 years from today, I think 2020, 2021 will become seminal years for change of behavior, consumer buying behavior in various ways. The protection gap in India is very large, and this is what I was talking about a little while earlier. We cover just about 4 to 5% of the population. We don't cover more than that. It's gone up. India's protection gap is 23% of GDP versus 332%. So basically what it means is percentage of protection sold to consumers, and protection is just pure protection, right? How much would you get if something was to happen to you? It's 32% in India as a part of as a component of GDP. In Singapore, that's 332%. That's how large the gap is. Now, Singapore is a unique nation. Okay, A, it's a smaller nation. B, it has a strong regulatory framework around some of these. But even in countries like the US and all, this is more than 100% of GDP. So this is the kind of opportunity that exists on the insurance side of the business. As affluence increases, the need for savings and investments will both grow up. So that will continue to be a very, very strong segment. Lots of us never bought insurance from a protection perspective. Lots of us have always bought insurance from a savings perspective. I think for especially people from our generation, the first insurance policy that we bought was the first one that came out of our salary, where our parents forced us to say, now that you started earning, you need to save tax, therefore you must buy life insurance and so on and so forth. I think we've all had very similar experiences, but this will change. And I think the one thing that will happen is with a lot of financial market evolution, financial market innovation, the kind of products, especially on the savings side, will be very, very different. So just to give an example, some of it is already happening today. Just to give an example, today you could buy an insurance product that guarantees you a 7% return over a 25-year period. Guaranteed. Okay? That's almost unbelievable, right? Because running an insurance company, I know the kind of asset liability management that we have to do in order to provide something like this. Because we are promising you something over 25 years. Our average asset works out about 12 years. Right? So we're taking a risk which is double that. As the financial market is evolving, we're finding better hedging tools which are allowing us to take care of some of this. And this will continue to increase. So invariably in India, for example, return on financial service products have been lower than bank deposits. Invariably. I think by and large what you will find is insurance products will beat financial fixed deposits, for example, and will give you protection cover to boot. So some of the old thoughts about something like an insurance product will change. An insurance product is not the only way. You will see these kind of stuff in every financial services product. I think you will find AMCs being able to do a lot more because of various kind of regulatory and other frauds that will happen. But across board, whether it's AIFs, none of us had heard really of AIFs about 10, 12 years ago. Today they are a very, very large part of our markets. There will, I'm sure, be new product segments in the market in 10 years' time that don't exist today. That's how market will evolve. Retirement, again, I won't speak about it. We've already spoken about it. It's a large piece. Healthcare, finally, and this is a very interesting one. Nearly a third of people who pay for healthcare in the country pay through sale of an asset. What it means is, this is typically people who have large ticket expenses that have come in a cancer treatment, a cardiac treatment, or whatever it might be. And they don't have insurance cover. And they fund it by selling a house or selling something else. Right? This has to change. This can't continue. It will be very difficult to do. Healthcare in general is a difficult topic anywhere in the world. If you take NHS to the National Health Scheme in UK and the kind of pushback that it is getting from customers for inefficient service, or even relatively better ones like the Canadian service, where today in Canada it might take you 3 months to get an MRI appointment, simply because the backlog is and the service has become so inefficient. So the right model of what will happen in healthcare will evolve. Healthcare is the one place which for many, many years now has been, inflation has been ahead of regular inflation, and this is one area where a lot of innovation will be required. And financial services will play a lot of role because a lot of this is finally about funding healthcare. This also we've kind of spoken about, so I don't want to repeat, but I think there are tremendous opportunities as we go, and this is something that I use in all colleges that I go. Insurance traditionally has not been seen as a great career. I can promise you, after 25 years there, it's a great career. For students here specifically, I refer to it, it's a great career with lots of opportunities to do lots of different things. It's not just about push sales anymore. So it's an interesting field and you should explore this. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for taking us through the transformation of financial sectors in India and for educating us on the various opportunities and trends that will and are affecting the financial and insurance sector currently and constantly. I'm sure the attendees have a lot to take back from your words. Now I request Raman sir to present Sumit sir with a token of appreciation. It was indeed a great pleasure to listen to all of you, and we thank you, sirs. I would now like to invite Area Chairperson of Department of Finance and Law, Dr. Rashmi Soni, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On the dais, off the dais. So thank you is such a prayer that cannot be sensed or touched. It must be felt by the heart. And that is what we all are feeling here. I can assure you, those who have listened to you, they have got immense knowledge, lot of research questions in their mind and so many things. So I feel honored and privileged to get an opportunity to propose a vote of thanks for this special occasion of the International Finance Conference 2023. I would like to thank all the honorable delegates who have blessed us with their presence. I am also very much thankful to all the conference team members, invited speakers. Word is not enough to thank their constant guidance and support to shape the conference. First of all, on the behalf of the Sifico 2023, I convey my deep regard and thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rajshekharan Pillai. He is traveling, so that is the reason he couldn't join us today. I am very much thankful to the Director, KG Somaya Institute of Management, Ramal Ramchandran sir, for giving us the necessary approvals and for organizing the conference and gracing this occasion with your presence. Thank you very much, sir. Special thanks to our Chief Guest, Dr. Nageshwar Rao, for his gracious presence and sharing his thoughts with us, show the future way of research in finance, emerging trends in finance. Thank you very much, sir. My sincere thanks to the guest of honor, Mr. Ananta Barua sir, who graced us with the kind words about how regulators are more innovative and they are taking care of the investor like us. Thank you very much. Special thanks to our special guest, to Mr. Sumit Rai, for sparing your time from the busy schedule and share your experience with us, with our students, to showcase what all the opportunities they also have in this industry and how, as a researcher, we could also see the consumer finance as one of the area of the research. And I have noted out so many certification codes for your industry as well, so I'll share with you. And I am very much thankful to our academic partner, National Institute of Securities Market, and knowledge partner, Edelweiss Tokyo. Their support makes our conference more visible and successful. We acknowledge the delegates from NISM. Thank you very much for coming, and the Tokyo. I would like to thank our beloved Professor Pankaj Trivedi sir, conference convener, for his constant help and the guidance that actually the source of energy with us, and we ever remain grateful to you, sir, for this. I am very much thankful to all the participants, all the guests, faculties, colleagues, non-teaching staff, and who always stand by us, and I feel proud and thank you for making this event a successful one. As we know that these kind of events, the dimension cannot happen over the night. The wheel starts rolling months in advance. And we have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of a very motivated and dedicated convener, co-convener, and our department research associate Emma, and our student committee who are helping us day and night. I cannot thank everyone enough for the involvement they have shown and willingness they have expressed to take on their completion of the task beyond their comfort zone. I would also like to thank our admin team, Ms. Shilpa and Ms. Meenal, for arranging the transport, catering, and all the services accommodation. And without you people, this event was not be possible. Thank you very much once again for all these things. My special thanks to our Film Street team members. Okay, without you, we cannot think about organizing this conference. A very big thank you to all my students. If we say that if the time is money, that today you all have spent million for us. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot from my bottom of my heart. Thank you.